Woo! Have we got the
Patreon?
Yes, we've got a
Patreon! Hello interwebs, it's Scott from Admiralty Entertainment, and today we're looking at the Marvel Legends Sugar Man series, Dark Beast, from Hasbro. Henry Hank McCoy, better known as The Beast, first appeared in X-Men #1 in 1963, and is a founding member of the X-Men, with notable stints in the Avengers, Defenders, and X-Factor. Unfortunately, this Hank isn't that Hank. When Legion travelled into the past and accidentally killed Charles Xavier before he formed the X-Men, history was rewritten into a nightmarish alternate timeline known as the Age of Apocalypse, where En-Sabah-Nur conquered North America, turning it into a genocidal mutant tyranny, where only a few brave mutants dared oppose him. In this world, Hank did not end up on the side of the Angels, instead becoming a key geneticist in Apocalypse's regime, engaging in amoral and sadistic experimentation with twisted glee. This evil beast, the Dark appellation would be applied to the character later on, first appeared in February 1995's X-Men Alpha #1, and he would end up being one of the 4 individuals who managed to escape the destruction of that timeline to the regular Marvel timeline when history was returned to its correct course. In fact, only one of those 4 aren't in this very wave of figures. The problematically named Holocaust received a Build-A-Figure as Nemesis back in a Walmart exclusive line in 2009. So you definitely get a decent amount of Earth 616 use for about half the figures in the wave. Of course, many more characters from this storyline would return down the track, including the whole universe itself, now designated Earth 295, but Dark Beast has become a surprisingly regular recurring player for what started out as just a Mirror Universe Spock. Or is that a Mirror Universe Bones, given that Beast actually is Dr. McCoy? For this iteration, the packaging is in line with what's been standard for Marvel Legends since the Mandroid wave back in 2014. Marvel Legends logo, big window to see the figure and accessories, and a logo banner combo, with this being the Age of Apocalypse X-Men logo and the nameplate stating that this is Marvel's Dark Beast, as opposed to all those other Dark Beasts out there. There's a Build-A-Figure label showing that this is part of the Sugar Man wave, and the top of the box has the iconic Age of Apocalypse logo on it, while both sides show the visage of Apocalypse looming over an illustration of the Dark Beast. The back of the box has an X-Men appropriate blue and yellow colour scheme, with a promo shot of the figure and a brief bio. Dr. Henry McCoy constantly experiments on himself to enhance his superhuman powers. And a cross-sell of the rest of the wave, including Jean Grey, X-Man, Sunfire, Wildchild, Weapon X, Morph, and Dark Beast himself, as well as a more detailed than usual depiction of the finished Sugar Man figure and where all his parts come from. The inner tray reproduces in shades of blue that same grim Apocalypse face seen on the side of the box in a suitably ominous fashion. Out of the box we get a couple of accessories. The hammer belongs to the Sugar Man Build-A-Figure, for which Hank includes no other parts. But if you're not interested in collecting the entire wave so you can build a 4-armed, hairy-backed, giant-headed, serpent-tongued geneticist, you can quite happily let DB here use it. Or use it to punk Thor. Or just toss it into your parts bin without too much plastic wastage. For his own use, Dark Beast has 2 alternate hands, a flat-palmed left hand and a fisted right hand, to complement the 2 grasping hands of differing levels of graspedness that come attached to the figure in the package. As expected, there's a reuse of the regular Beast sculpt from the Caliban wave, but there's a surprising level of new parts. Only the chest, mid-torso, arms, and feet are reused, leaving nearly half the figure as newly tooled. The parts that are reused, of course, retain the same excellent sculpting that Beast figure had, with some excellent sculpted fur detail. While there may not be the random quills that we saw on him originally, Dark Beast actually removed those himself in X-Men Unlimited #10, around the same time that he changed his hair to the more Wolverine-ish style like his 616 counterpart, rather than the original formless long hair sort of thing that he had previously. So the overall look is acceptably comic accurate, just not necessarily how he looked during the Age of Apocalypse storyline itself. That said, the new head sculpt perfectly captures that mad scientist grin, and has plenty of detail with earrings and hair wraps, as well as a general wildness of his mane. It's sculpted extremely well, though the head overall does seem perhaps a smidge too large. The new banded metal pants, which cover the lower torso and legs down to the mid-calf, look great with a combination of paint and marbleized plastic. The effect works really nicely here and adds to the figure overall. The lower calves seem to have been reused from the previous beast, but even so, this still had to be modified since the regular beast's whole shin was one piece, and these only start partway down. Paint-wise, the details on the head are pretty sharp. The teeth gleam menacingly, the wrappings and earrings are pretty clean and defined, and there's nice differentiation in the hair to separate it from the standard grey plastic he's moulded in. Most of the figure is likewise moulded in the same slightly blue-hinting grey plastic, but there is a surprising amount of extra paint detail in the shading of the fur at points across the body, which really help create extra texture. Articulation-wise, the head is on a ball joint providing movement and waggle, but the truly massive hair sculpt hinders the side-to-side movement beyond a certain range, and pretty much prevents looking up to any great extent. The shoulders have the standard excellent level of both rotation and extension. Like the blue version of Beast, there are butterfly joints for the shoulders, which allow for significant backwards motion to the arms, but only a little bit extra forwards. These butterfly hinges are extremely noticeable when looking at the figure's back, as they break up the sculpt considerably. That's what we got with the 616 Hank, so it's what we're getting here, and we'll get again with a fan channel grey Beast. And is not really noticeable from the front, so it doesn't really matter too much to most collectors. The biceps have the standard swivel, with a double joint at the elbow, hindered slightly by the sculpt of both the bicep and forearm, more than any inadequacy of the hinge itself, and rotation at the wrist, with hinges on all alternate hands. There's a diaphragm joint, in addition to a waist crunch, and these more than adequately take the place of the absent standard waist twist. The legs are on a ball joint, blocked from some backwards movement by his healthy butt sculpt. The swivel on the thigh on both legs was extremely stiff on mine, but are still functional, though scary for fear of breaking it. There's a double joint at the knee, hindered slightly by the bulk of both the thighs and calves, hinge and rocker ankles, and hinged toes. Surprisingly, there's no swivel at the bottom edge of the pants, which really looks like they should have been present, and you'd think it'd be doable given that they seem to be two separate pieces. I've seen no evidence to suggest that there actually is a swivel here, and if that is a joint, it's so stiff that I don't want to risk breaking the figure to unstick it. Overall, you have plenty of articulation here, which is a must, even if Dark Beast isn't as known for his agility as the regular 616 version is. The additional hands swap out easily enough, without fear of them either falling out or breaking in the process of changing them, and add a great deal to your options with the figure. Like everyone else, I had to try using the flat palm to do a classic beast standing on one hand pose, and it worked out surprisingly well, until gravity decided otherwise. The joints have enough strength to pull off pretty much any pose you want, though the palm hand could have used a slightly tighter joint to be more useful in that regard. But your bigger enemy will be finding that sweet spot of a balance point. Scale-wise, this figure stands at about the 7-inch mark. Given that Dark Beast is only supposed to be about 5'11" to 6 foot, this figure would seem to be oversized, though thankfully not as much as the Mutant Monsters version Toy Biz did back in 1996, but it's still noticeable here. I personally don't mind the extra size for consistency with the Caliban series Beast figure, who is obviously similarly oversized, but also because at nearly an inch taller than most figures, it makes Dark Beast that much more intimidating presence, as well as helping add some levels of height to your display. Overall, Dark Beast is a fantastic figure and, for my money, the highlight of this wave. He's big and imposing, just plain looks creepy, and has enough flexibility in both the toy and in the character that you can readily display him in a number of different ways. With his fellow Age of Apocalypse characters, with other mutant villains, doppelgangers, Dark X-Men and other Norman Osborn organised baddies, or in any other way that you like. Even if you're not that keen on the rest of the AOA wave or the Sugarman Build-A-Figure, Evil Hank here is well worth getting as a solo addition to your collection. So, those are our thoughts. What are yours? We're out of here for now, so be sure to like, share, comment and subscribe, and we'll beast you next time on Admiralty Entertainment.